In this video, we're going to have a look at Key Stage 1 and how it is represented in the ASP. Well, here we have the percentage achieving at least the expected standard in writing, and then the greater depth in writing. As I said before, there's a greater emphasis in the ASP on the greater depth standard. So if I click on Explore Data in Detail, you can see that we have the same cohorts as we had for the phonics. Then the school percentage, so school cohort, and then the school percentage for, it says achieve the expected standard. In actuality, this is achieve the expected standard or above. So we don't have 87 plus 42, 129% achieving at least the expected standard. So your school percentage is being compared with the national benchmark. Don't forget your disadvantaged pupils and your ever 6 free school meal pupils are being compared with the national other, and your SEN pupils are being compared with the national all. We then have the greater depth standard, and then we go right to the bottom with law pre-Key Stage 1, foundations and working towards. This bit will change in 2019 with the introduction of standards 1 to 4, which removes P5 to P8 and the foundations. So this will be altered in next year's analysis. Now, I didn't mention this at phonics, but here at Key Stage 1 as well as phonics, we have a filters button. If I click on this, then filters will be shown on the right hand side of the screen. So these filters are gender, disadvantaged, SEN, first language, and ethnicity. Now for first language, for English being your first language, this would be English and believed to be English. Both of those are English as a first language, which means English as an additional language is any of the other 4, including refused and information not obtained. So what happens if you click, say, on boys, male? Well, it's like you could have the word boy written after any of these. So you have disadvantaged boys, non-disadvantaged boys, SEN boys. The female line will disappear, add would the all pupils lines. And then if you want to remove the effect of your filter, just click on clear filters. Just a reminder that science is not included in the main tab of Key Stage 1. You have to go to list of reports to find your science or your school performance summary. So this is how Key Stage 1 is reflected in the ASP. Now you may notice that there are 3 categories missing that you might expect, and those are emerging, expected and exceeding. In other words, what those pupils did at early years compared to their national benchmark. Well, this is a average, this is a measurement that Ofsted seem to have gone away from. They no longer compare your school with emerging, expected, exceeding. The Ofsted reports that I've read, and which you will find on our website. So here is the Ofsted blog, inspection blog website. At Key Stage 1, what we're looking at is just comparisons with the national average at the expected standard and the greater depth standard. So emerging, expected and exceeding have gone away. So let's have a look at some points to ponder for Key Stage 1. So let's have a look at some points to ponder for Key Stage 1. How did you do? Was there a difference between subjects? What about your greater depth? We're seeing a lot more emphasis on the greater depth in Key Stage 1. What groups made the most progress and which made the least? And again, was there a variance between subjects? Were you in the top or bottom 10 or 20% compared to all pupils nationally? How did you do compared to the national average at the expected and the greater depth? How did this vary between subjects and groups? Now, it used to be that Ofsted were also looking at early years development overall, so your emerging, expected, exceeding. However, there seems to be a de-emphasis of this. Does your school improvement plan clearly identify areas for improvement? Are the targets set for improvement ambitious enough? Are they measurable? Is a timescale realistic? In other words, are they SMART? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. Are milestones in place to show whether pupils are on track to reach their targets, and who evaluates them? How? When? What about your subject leaders? How and when did they monitor? And do they know what the quality of teaching is like in the area across the school? And do they know the picture of standards across the school? So in other words, we're not just talking about Key Stage 1 here. We're talking about Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So even if you've got a Key Stage 1 teacher, if he or she is a subject leader in reading, does she know what reading is like in Key Stage 2? And what professional development has taken place to support subject development across the school? We're noticing a number of inspectors referring to local authority partners who have come into school to support subject development. So that is Key Stage 1 and some points to ponder. Thank you very much for watching this video. Why not like us and subscribe to this channel? And why not subscribe to our free premium mailing list, where you can get 10% off our best prices and advance notice on what's happening.